Hare Krishna. I welcome you all in today's session, which is on the overview of Bhagavad Gītā. Let's get started. And I'm sure some of other going to join us. And we have Shivani and Aryan next to me today. Rather than joining from separate connections, they are here with me. And this is what happens sometimes. We meet in person as well. And this is all due to the blessings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamiji Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Feel free to join me in Mangalacharan. Oh. Ajnanaतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवं रूपं साग्रजातं सागणा रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सभारूपं श्रीजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका प्राप्त कांचन गौरी वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठभूतले भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And Hare Krishna, Kana. And we are doing Bhagavad Gita. We have just started. We are doing a very quick overview. But we will go as much as in detail as required, as we usually go. A lot of stories, a lot of questions, and a lot of discussions as and when we would like to do. So last week, which was the very first week, we did the background of Bhagavad Gita, and we are going to continue where we left. But a very quick recap, and it's worth mentioning that we are going live on YouTube, just so everybody knows, because a lot of students, they can't join or at this particular time, but they love to follow up at that later. So for them, they always request. We said Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagwan's Gita. Bhagwan is the Lord and Gītā is the song. So it says it's a song of the Lord. And Lord said this to Arjun. So this is a conversation between Arjun and Krishna. We started this family tree, which we have discussed in past as well, and we discussed last time that there were many great kings in ancient India, and one of them was Guru. And Guru had many followers, many sons, many disciples, and one of them was Shantanu. Shantanu had 2 wives, and one was Ganga. From Ganga being the mother, Shantanu being the father, we got Bhishma, who never got married. Hence, this box is a single, no wife, no children. Shantanu got married also to Satyavati, and then from Satyavati, we got Vyasadeva. Anybody remember why Vyasadeva is so important in Vedic culture? Anyone?
I think because he made like the song for Bhagavad Gītā.
Very nice. Thank you, Isha. Yes, you remember it correct, and thank you for letting us know. Vyasadeva was the one who compiled it together, who wrote it. Before that, it was all in the head of the teacher and students. So teachers used to recite the verses because it's like a poem, and the kids, they would listen and they will recite back, and they will remember it, like we did Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan is a series of prayers, and we just recite after each other and we remember it. And this is the way all the Vedic scriptures were. But Vyasadeva was the first one. And why did he do it? What was the need of it? For so many years, nobody decided to write, but Vyasadeva said, I will write. Why? Because he knew that Kali Yuga is going to come. And there are 4 yugas. We have Satyug, we have Dwapar Yuga, Treta, and then Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, the memory is very bad. We don't remember. Sometimes we don't even remember what did we have in the breakfast, or who called us yesterday. So how we will remember so much wisdom? And thanks to him, to Vyasadeva, that we have all this written down now. And from Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva had many devotees, and we will see Narad Dev is one of them. We might remember Narad Dev, Naradji, who always comes along, and he always takes the name of the Lord. Narayan itself is the name of the Lord, and he always say Narayan, 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 and he keeps taking the name of the Lord. And it's been said that in Kali Yuga, one of the best things to do is to take the name of the Lord. Whether we read the scriptures or not, whether we understand anything or not, whether we go to the temple or not, whether we celebrate any festivals or not, even though we should do all these things. But even if our lives are so busy, we can't do any of those, we should definitely do one thing, that we should take the name of the Lord. And it's so easy. Hare Krishna. So when we greet each other, we say good morning. But how about that we greet each other and we say Hare Krishna, because we taking the name of Krishna. When we sleep, we go to the bed and we say Hare Krishna. When we pick the phone and we say hello, how about instead of that we say Hare Krishna? And in traditional India, still today, a lot of people, they do that. Of course, a lot of Hare Krishna devotees, they always say Hare Krishna. But even those who are not part of Hare Krishna movement, they say Ram Ram, because that's another name of the Lord. Ram Ram. Ram is the name of the Lord, and Ram Ram is another way of greeting each other. So Vyasadeva is the teacher of Naradji. And we will talk more about Naradji and the different yugas as well. So Vyasadeva. So from Shantanu and Satyavati, we got two sons, Chitranga and Vichitra Virya. Chitranga didn't have any, he died very young, he didn't have any wife or any kids, but Vichitra Virya had two, Ambika and Ambalika. So from Ambika and Vichitra Virya, he had, and we have the dotted yellow line because he had the blessings of Vyasadeva. So until Vyasadeva came, they could not do the babies. And sometimes we really need the blessings of our elders, and then only be able to do the success in our life. And this is what happens. So from Ambika and Vichitravirya, we had Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra was one of those kings. We said that there was one thing about Dhritarashtra. Arun, do you remember anything about Dhritarashtra? Anything unique?
He had 100 sons.
All right, great. He had 100 sons. Thank you. And also, as we said it before, that he was blind. He was blind, right? So he got married to Gandhari. Gandhari had a brother Shakuni, and then Gandhari and Dhritarashtra, they had 101 children. One of them was a daughter, and 100 sons were there, right? Hare Krishna. Shivani is there. Hare Krishna. Jay has also joined. So good to have you. Then we remember Vichitravirya and Ambalika. They also gave birth from the blessings of Vyasadeva and called Pandu. So Dhritarashtra and Pandu, they were brothers. Pandu was very weak. His health was never good. Hence, he went to the village, to the jungle, and he stayed there, and he died there. But Pandu had two wives, Kunti and Madhuri. And from Kunti, he had Yudhishthir, he had Bhima, and he had Arjun. So he had those three sons from Kunti. And Pandu from Madhuri also had Nakul and Sahadev. And they were in that order. So Yudhishthir was the eldest, then Bhima, then Arjun, then Nakul, and Sahadev was the youngest one. These five, being the sons of Pandu, were called Pandavas. So there were 5 Pandavas. And because they all, Duryodhan was the eldest one of Dhritarashtra. So all the brothers and sisters of Duryodhan and all the 5 Pandavas, because all of them, they come from the same dynasty, same family tree called Kuru, they all were called Kurus as well. Like all 5 Pandavas were called Pandavas because they come from Pandu. All the sons and children of Dhritarashtra and including Pandavas, they were called Kurus. So Kurus were both. Whenever we read Kurus, they refer to both. And then there was a place called Kurukshetra, and we will see the very first verse in Bhagavad Gītā. Kurukshetra Dharmashetre Kurukshetra. And we will see this. The very first is Kurukshetra. Why Kurukshetra is Kurukshetra? Because it was a Kshetra is a place, and it's a place of Kurus, hence it's called Kurukshetra, also called Dharmashetra. Because it's a religious place, because the people were religious. And of course, later something happened, the Dhritarashtra kids and Pandus, they started fighting with each other, or Pandavas. But Kunti also had another son called Karna. And this says Suryadev. Anybody remembers how Kunti got Karna as the son, as the son, but was also a son of the sun? Anybody knows how Karna was the son of Kunti? Yeah? Aryan is thinking. All right. Okay. So let me tell you. Kunti, there was a Muni called Durvasa Muni. He came along, and Kunti was a princess, a little princess, and Durvasa Muni was there in the kingdom, and Kunti, being a little princess, took care of Durvasa Muni, who was a very elderly saint. And Durvasa Muni got so happy, he gave blessings to Kunti that you could call any demigod, gave the mantra that in the mantra you will think of a demigod and that demigod will come and will give you the darshan. It's like you will force that demigod to come. And she was not married and she decided to test it. She thought, well, I don't know if this happens. I never heard of it. This happens. Like sometimes when the mobile phone came, somebody said to somebody very elder that, see, these mobile phones, they will come, they can do this and that. And people say, especially the elders, they say, I don't know if this happens. Let's test it. And how often do we do as well? This is what Kunti did. Very young, she wasn't married. She thought, okay, she was there in her balcony. She could see the sun and she said, okay, let me test it. Let me test this mantra. And she did it. What happened? To her surprise, Suryadev turned up in the form of a man, in the form of a human, and said, Kunti, what can I do for you? And Kunti says, oh, so sorry. I didn't mean to call you. I'm so sorry. I didn't. Thank you so much. I got your darshan. Please, thank you. Go away. Because obviously Suryadev was very hot. Also radiations coming in. She got so afraid. She just requested him to disappear. But Suryadev said, no, I'm a demigod. I'm a devta. If I'm here, I will have to give you something. And this mantra you have got, according to that, I have to give you a son. And she got upset. She said, no, I'm not married. You can't give me the son. You're not my husband. And Suryadev said, no, it doesn't go that way. I'm a devta. I don't need to marry to someone to give a son. And Kunti couldn't understand a thing. Suryadev said, Tathastu, which is like, so it be, my blessings with you. And he disappeared. And she got, thank you so much. He disappeared. But before he disappeared, a little baby appeared in Kunti's lap and started crying. And Kunti got so shocked. She thought, whoa, what am I going to do with this son? This baby? And later on, Kunti somehow managed to get away with that baby. She had a servant. She requested the servant, could you just take this baby, put it in the basket, put a lot of gold there, a lot of food there, and put that basket in the river, and whoever will get the river, or in the river will get this basket, will get the gold, will take care of the baby. And this is what happened. So Karna never knew that Kunti was my mother. Kunti never knew that Karna was her son until later on, many years later. So Karna was the eldest brother of Yudhishthir, all the Pandavas. But the story goes this way, that the Karna decided to follow Duryodhan. Duryodhan was a good friend of Karna. And this is what happened. Now what we do? We goes further. From Pandavas, they got a wife called Draupadi. And there is another story how Draupadi became the wife of 5. We will cover that later. But Arjun got married to Subhadra. Subhadra was the sister of Lord Krishna and Lord Balrama. And this way, Arjun and Krishna, they got associated. They were related. But Kunti, Arjun's mom, was also the sister of Krishna's father. So Kunti was Krishna's Bua, father's sister. But also Krishna was Arjun's brother-in-law, because Arjun got married to Subhadra. And then there were, from Arjun and Subhadra, they got a son called Abhimanyu. And from Abhimanyu and Uttara was Abhimanyu's wife, they got Parikshit. And Parikshit is very important. because Parikshit Maharaj, there was a time when Mahabharata ended. After that, only the Pandavas were there, but at some point, Pandavas decided to go away. They thought, okay, our time is off, we are going to go. And then Parikshit was left. And Parikshit was, so all this happened in Treta Yuga. And then Parikshit was left at the end of Treta Yuga when Kali Yuga started. So Parikshit was the only one. Parikshit was there in the transition. When Parikshit went, then Kali Yuga started. And then Parikshit also had a son, Janmejay, who got entered into Kali Yuga. But by then, Kali Yuga was so influenced. So this is the family tree, which is worth discussing because we are going to cover these. You will hear these names again and again. But now, how to remember Bhagavad Gītā? What is there in Bhagavad Gītā? Bhagavad Gītā, as we said, is the song of the Lord. But within Bhagavad Gītā, we have 18 chapters. Now, the very easy way to remember is 18 times 3 is 6. First 6 chapters, Karma Yoga, which is action. The last 6 chapters is Jnana Yoga, which is knowledge. And then we have in between what we call Bhakti Yoga. And this Bhakti Yoga itself is the main thing. That's what we see, Karma Yoga leading to Bhakti Yoga, right? And Jnana Yoga leading to Bhakti Yoga. So which means the whole essence of Bhagavad Gītā is Bhakti Yoga. Now, what is Bhakti? But before we'll do that, what is yoga? Because yoga is there all over the place. Yoga is here, yoga is here, yoga is here. So first 6 chapters, they are yoga. 7 to 12 chapters are yoga. 13 to 18 chapters are yoga. Which means in the whole Bhagavad Gītā, it's nothing else a yoga. But it's not that yoga which we know, which is making some postures, taking some breathing exercises. This yoga is actually English, but in Sanskrit, it's yoga. And yoga means the union. And union happens between 2 things, or could be multiple things as well, but usually union means 2 things. And when the material and the spiritual combine together, that's when yoga happens. Which means in this, Hare Krishna. And Kana says, union of Atma and Paramatma. Thank you so much, Kana. Yes. So which means this Atma is there. We all are the Atmas, and Krishna is there. The Bhagwan is there, who is Param Atma. Param is Param, beyond Atma, or the supreme Atma. Right? Something which is beyond Atma. So why do we call ourselves Atma? Because we are this material body. We know when we were little baby, then we were the same, right? So I'm VP Govinda Das. When I was a little boy, I was VP Govinda Das. When I grew up, I was a young boy, I was VP Govinda Das. But my body was changing. So definitely this body cannot be me, because this body has been changing. But I have always been the same person. Of course, there could be some attributes which might be changing. My voice might be changing. My vision could be changing. But all that is related to the body. And when I'm going to leave this body, I will still live. And we will see that in chapter 3, Karma Yoga, that how we move, and that there are many good verses there, that how the body moves from one birth to another. We leave the body, we change the body just like dresses. But when the Atma and Paramatma, when the material and the spiritual, when these 2 things become one, then this is called yoga. Which means whatever we do, we just like to go beyond material. Now, what is material? Anything which is changing is material. Anything which is fixed is a spiritual. Let's think of this. But there could be many divisions. many differentiations, many different definitions. But very simple one, anything which is changing. If it's changing, that means it cannot be real, because something which is real, it never changes, right? The whole definition of absolute is that it doesn't change, right? So 10 out of 10 is absolute, the max you can get. But 9, it still has. 9 could change to 8, could change to 7, but 10 cannot change to anything to become absolute. So 10 is the real, 10 is the top. So the body, the house, the clothes, the cars, the jobs, the families, they all keep changing. Hence they are material. But the source of all that is the Atma, and that never changes. Hence, we are spiritual beings, but we have material body on top of us. But we will see how this unfolds. So the first, so they all are yoga, which means all of these, they are around, how many verses there in Bhagavad Gita?
700.
Right, thank you. So Arvind says there are 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita, which is right. So 700 verses there in Bhagavad Gita. And all of them, they've been split into 18 chapters, and all of them, they talk about the same thing, that we should go beyond material and we should become spiritual. What are the benefits of a spiritual? Why do we want to become a spiritual? Why we should read Bhagavad Gita? Because when we are spiritual, then we are happy. And that happiness is actually what we call bliss, which is always there. It never goes away. If you think about it, we do things, we eat things, we hear things, we go here, we go there. Why? Because we want to be happy. Because we want to be happy. Now, when things change, we become unhappy. All the happiness we have in the world, they are temporary. But the happiness we get from the knowledge we gain from Bhagavad Gita, that happiness comes from within, which means currently all the happiness is dependent on external sources. So you get a new toy, you get a new book, you get a new admission, you move into a bigger house, you get a bigger car, you get a new dress, a big birthday party, go on a greater, bigger, expensive holidays, everything external. And they all are temporary. Let's say you get a big party will get over. You get a big house, for a moment you will be happy. After that, well, the same thing. The happiness of the house being big enough or the car being fast enough will go away. Hence we say all these things, all these external things, they are temporary. So let's move on. Karma yoga is based on action. What kind of actions we should do? And these are basic actions in day-to-day life. How should we speak? How should we walk? This is what Arjuna asked Krishna. And how should we make decisions? What kind of books we should read? What kind of movies we should watch? Right? How should we converse with each other? When somebody will reply this, how should we reply back? So Isha asked how many verses we have in Bhagavad Gita. There are 700 verses there in Bhagavad Gita. Right? And they are split into 18. And we will do the overview of all of them.
How long is each verse?
How long is each verse? Okay, each verse usually consists of 4 small lines. So if I will show you that, first of all, let me just clear this up. Okay, so I would like to show you, okay. All right, okay, I will come to that. I will have to find a verse for you. But words could be very small. Usually there are 4 small lines. 4 small lines consist of one verse, and it could be like Karpanne dosho pahata sabhava pachami tvam dharma samura cheta yatshesham nishchitam bhui tanme shishyastyam shadimam dvam prapannam. Next verse also. Deino asmi yata dehi komaram yovanam jara Tata dehantara prapte dhirastatra namuyati. Thank you. So Aryan was there reciting some of the verses which we will do. And we can start learning Sanskrit verses as well if you like. So these were the two verses we just recited, and they are very small and they are very poetic, and they're very good. And if we have them printed with us, we recite them every morning. We could do it in evening as well, and slowly, gradually, they come to us. We start memorizing them. Now, what Srila Prabhupada ji has done, Srila Prabhupada ji got so there are verses in Sanskrit. Then Prabhupada ji has given the English translation, and then word-to-word translation and the commentary, what that word really means. And his commentary is based on 4 different commentaries. So there are 4 different great authors: Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan ji, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ji, Srila Sridhara Swami ji, and then Shripad Ramanujacharya ji. So based on these 4 commentaries, there were few more, but these were the main ones. Srila Prabhupada ji gave his own commentary, which we are going to cover. So now this is the division. We don't really need to remember, but just a rough estimate that they are all the 700 verses are split into 4. So 4 people said those. So I can say recite those verses, but we will see somewhere it will say Arjuna Uvacha. Uvacha is said. Arjun said. Arjun Uvacha. Then Krishna Uvacha, Bhagavan Uvacha, Sanjay Uvacha. And the very first verse is, and that's the only verse spoken by Dhritarashtra. Very first verse. And it's a very important verse because he's the one who starts all that. Dhritarashtra said 1 verse. Sanjay said 41 verses. Arjun, most of the time, Arjun asked the questions. 84 verses Arjun asked. And then Lord Krishna, 574. First chapter is the one, first chapter, first verse is by Dhritarashtra, and then most of the verses later, because Sanjay is giving the commentary to Dhritarashtra. So most of the chapter 1 verses are spoken by Sanjay. But after that, it's a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjun. So Arjun, being a great student, will ask a lot of things from Krishna. And Krishna says, because you are my friend, my relative, my disciple, my devotee, I'm going to tell you all these things. And the wisdom he gives them, it's amazing. It's been there since even more, but since it's been compiled, 5,500 years old. Could be even more, but 5,500 years back. Now think of it, whenever you go in the market and you look for a book, any book on any topic, how old is the book? Usually we get newer books, newer versions, and we say the old is gold. We don't, well, old is gold, but we say, no, we don't want to look for the old, new, this is a new iPhone, this is a new car, this is a new latest design. We would like to go for the new, because the old ones, new ones compared to the old ones are usually better, or this is the way people perceive. But when it comes to wisdom, the knowledge, if you see the old person usually has the big, grand wealth of knowledge, right? So when we meet old people, we should always ask, we should always seek blessings, and we should always ask questions that how could we? And a lot of people do it. A lot of children, even they grow up 40, 50 years old, when they want to make some decisions in their life, they go to their parents. I'm confused, what shall I do? And this is what Arjun says, Karpanye dosho pahatas sabhava. Arjun says to Krishna that I can't make decisions. And that's where Krishna steps in. And Krishna said, well, I can help you. Krishna does. But remember, it's a war. They're fighting. Yeah. But in the fight, you would think that Arjun needs a lot of weapons. Yeah. You need the physical strength, and you need the weapons to fight. But what happens? Arjun has all the weapons and all the physical strength, but mentally he goes weak. So Krishna, from his words, from the wisdom, gives all the knowledge to Arjun. Right? So Krishna doesn't give any new knowledge, any new weapon, or any physical strength to Arjun. Arjun had it before, but the mental strength was given. So that's another thing to learn from Bhagavad Gita, that doesn't really matter materially how successful we will become. We will go to the grammar school, we will go to the best university in the world, we will get the job in the best company in the world. But still, if mentally we are unstable, we can just do wrong thing at any time. And it happens. Somebody who got a Nobel Prize did something wrong and then ended up in the jail. Now, Nobel Prize is probably one of the esteemed prizes on the planet. But even after that, the person could do something wrong. Well, of course, the wrong thing can happen. The person might meet an accident. It can happen. But when intentionally person does something wrong, maybe corruption, then that means that all these Nobel Prizes, all these material knowledges, they are not good enough. Because the risk that you can fall down, and what happens to Nobel Prize? They took it away. They usually do that. If they have given you the award, the honor, if you do something wrong, they take it off. In this country, in UK, the king and queen, they give you the knightship. But if you do some offense, they take the knightship again. You can't use that title anymore. So we need to understand materially how high we go. It's important, but we should have the spiritual foundation, because without that spiritual foundation, we always have a risk that we might fall down. We might fall down. Great. So remember, so again, we don't really need to remember that Dhritarashtra 1 and Sanjay 41, Arjuna 84, and Krishna 574 verses, and all of them should come to 700 verses. But remember, most of the verses were between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. But initially, Sanjay will ask. Sanjay will narrate this story. Now, what's the relationship between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra? Sanjay was a charioteer and then became the counselor. Chariot. So those days, we didn't have cars. The chariots were there. The king would like to go somewhere. The charioteer will come, bring a brake chariot. And then if no one else is there, the king will speak only to the charioteer. So charioteer usually used to become good friends and good counselors. And Sanjay was there, and Ved Vyasji came. Ved Vyasji, Dhritarashtra said that I'm here, I can't see. And my sons, they have gone to the battlefield to fight with Pandu's son. I can't even see. Ved Vyasji said, no problem. I'm a sage. I give you a divine vision. But Dhritarashtra said, no, I don't want to see. I could not see. I have been blind since my birth. I didn't see these kids growing up. I can't see these kids dying in the battlefield now. But still, I would like to know what's happening in battlefield. And those days, we didn't have internet or Wi-Fi. But think like Sanjay was there, and Dhritarashtra said to Sanjay, Dhritarashtra said to Ved Vyasji, could you please give Sanjay that divine vision? And he could let me know. So all those time when the battle was happening, 18 days, Sanjay was sitting next to Dhritarashtra, and Sanjay could just see. It was like a telecast. Sanjay was there on the wall. He could just see everything because the divine vision was given. And Dhritarashtra used to ask and Sanjay used to tell. And that's how Bhagavad Gita started in the beginning. Now, if you think of the chapters, not all the chapters, so of course, Isha asked a very good question that how big the verses are. Now, the verses are more or less the same. 4 lines, some are small, some are big, but still 4 lines per verse, 1 verse, 4 lines. But some of the chapters are longer than others. If you see where the stars are, those are the shortest chapter. So chapter 12, only 20 verses, chapter 15, 20 verses, right? If you look on the left, on the right, we can see 20 chapters, 20 verses, 20 verses, and then we have 78 verses last chapter. That's what we can see. 11.1% of the whole is 18. And then 15 and 12, they are very small. Okay. And Isha is getting intrigued. She would like to write as well on the presentation. You can. We used to have who's busy at the moment. I'm sure he will come back. We'll really miss him. He loves to write that. But chapter 2 is the summary of Bhagavad Gita. Hence, that's the second longest. 78 verses in chapter 18, but 72 verses in chapter 2, which is the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. So what Krishna said, Krishna gave all the information in chapter 2. But at the end of chapter 2, Arjun said that, could you please give me in detail? Then Krishna said, okay, sure. Then Krishna started explaining things in detail. So whatever he said in chapter 2, he started explaining bit more detail in various chapters. But remember, first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga. Or we can say, first chapter, introduction or background, second chapter, the summary, and then we will see third chapter, Karma Yoga, then fourth chapter, Jnana Yoga, then 5th chapter, Karma and Jnana together, and 6th is what we usually see, Dhyana Yoga. And then from 7 to 12, devotional service, and then last 5, we will see why they are called Jnana. They are called Jnana. Jnana is knowledge. Right? So this is a general categorization of Bhagavad Gita, which we can remember. Right. So we will take that off and then we will go further. Any question from anyone so far, please? Anyone? No? Okay. All right. Let's go further. So now the chapter 1 will start. And we are on nearly 45. I wonder in maybe 5 minutes, I know Jay is there. Jay, would you like to do either Narasimha Dev's Aarti or Hare Krishna
I
Mahamantra?
forgot. When was the Bhagavad Gita made?
Around 5,500 years back. 5,500. Roughly.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question, Isha. So 5,500. It's very hard to figure out exactly when, but we know roughly 5,500 years back, Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So this war, this battle happened around 5,500 years. And if you will go to India, so this happened in India, and that place called Kurukshetra still exists in India. So if you will go, you could see that battlefield, which is still there. Well, the part of it is still there. There is a building around it now. And I've been there, and you can also go and you can also see. So I was just asking Jai, at the end, maybe in a few minutes, if you like to do Narasimha Dev's Aarti, or if you like to do Hare Krishna Mahamantra, please let me know. Okay, great. So Kana said in the chat that in last 5 minutes, he would also like to explain why Bhishma did not marry. And this was one of the questions I asked last time. So thank you, Kana, that you remember that. And you're going to share that with us. So maybe in 5 minutes, I will request you to let us know. So thank you. And feel free, everyone, you can chip in and you could ask questions like Isha is doing. Thank you, Isha. Great work. And of course, if you'd like to share anything, it's always good to hear from you. So the very first verse, Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. So Dhritarashtra is the king and Sanjay is the charioteer. He's sitting down on the top, and Dhritarashtra inquires from Sanjay, What did they do? So he's basically saying in the very first verse that please let me know what's happening in the battlefield. And Sanjay could see what's happening in the battlefield. You could see Arjun and Krishna is there. And he's going to tell everything. But then from verse 2, and this is how we're going to do. We can do each verse if you like, which we do sometimes. But currently, because we are doing overview, we are going to do themes. The first verse happens, and from 12 to 11 verses, Duryodhan describes. So Sanjay is telling to Dhritarashtra here that Duryodhan is describing the army formation of both sides. So this is Duryodhan. Duryodhan is telling his teacher, who is what's the name of anyone remembers? What's the name of not only Duryodhan but Pandu's, because he was the royal teacher at that time, and he was a teacher of Duryodhan and Pandavas as well. Anybody remember his name? It starts from D.
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. Thank you, Kana, and thank you, Aryan. Yes, Dronacharya. So Acharya is a teacher, Drona, and there is again a reason why he was called Drona. But Dronacharya was the teacher, and he was fighting on behalf of his probably not so likable student, Duryodhan, because he was a royal teacher, and the king was Duryodhan's father, Dhritarashtra. So his loyalty was for the king, and king's son was Duryodhan. Hence, he was fighting for Duryodhan. And Duryodhan was telling him, see my army and see Yudhishthir's army. And he expert politician and diplomat, the way he has been explaining, he's boosting the confidence of his own team, his own side, that we should be very nice. And he's asking Bhishma Pita as well. Sorry, I said this is Drona. This is actually Bhishma. Dronacharya is also there, and he does speak to Dronacharya, but in this picture, this is actually Bhishma. They both have a big beard, and we'll see Dronacharya as well. So what happens then? Then he's to Bhishma Pitama, who is and Kana is going to tell the story in a few minutes. And Dronacharya is the teacher. So Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya, we will see their names. Now verse 12, so verse 2 to 11, whole army formations, which is not that important for us. But verse 12, grandfather Bhishma Pitama blows his conch shell. And this is the sign that the war will begin. So every day, every morning, they will start doing it. And verse 14, Lord Krishna's entry in the battlefield. And Lord Krishna comes in with Arjun there at the back. Now, Lord Krishna himself was a king. And why he is the charioteer? I will ask this question next time. So remember that, and we'll stop it there, and we will request Kana to narrate us the story why Bhishma Pitama didn't marry, and why Bhishma Pitama was all right. Over to you, Kana, please.
So, am I audible? Okay. So basically, it was started when the King Shantanu become attracted to a daughter of the king fisherman named Satyavati. So when the King Shantanu approached to marry the daughter of the fisherman, so her father, Satyavati's father, basically have a condition for that anyone who married to her daughter, the child become the king of the throne. So, but when Shantanu got to know the vow that that condition, so but he have already a son that is named Devavrat, the original name of the Bhishma Pitama. When he was a young child, so he said to the king that I already have a son and he is already coronated as the crown prince, and he's the eldest of the family, and so he's the natural successor of the throne. But the king refused to marry her daughter because of the condition. So he said to him that you cannot get married to daughter of mine. And when Bhishma recognized there something that this whole narration between the king and his father, so he met with the Satyavati's father, and there he he promised him that I relinquish my throne and I will never demand to become the successor of this throne. So, but Satyavati father refused that by saying that you maybe not relinquish the throne, but what about your children? So that time he made a vow that I will not married, I will not marry forever. So he take a vow of celibacy, and from there I think he called a Bhishma Pitama.
Great. Thank you so much, Kana. Indeed. So, as you said, Shantanu wanted to get married to Satyavati. Satyavati's father said that my daughter's son should become the king. Shantanu said, but Bhishma is already there. He will become a king because he's already coronated prince. And then Bhishma knew about it. Bhishma said straight to Satyavati's father that I promise I will not become the king. But he said, okay, well, you won't become the king, but you're old enough. You will get married. Your kids will be bigger than my daughters. They will become. And then said, not only that, I will not become the king. I promise I will not marry at all. So I will not have kids. And all that for the father's desires. Because father wanted to be happy, because Shantanu wanted to be happy. And when Shantanu heard it, Shantanu said, this is a great, nobody else could do such an austerity because you have said it. So his name was Devavrata, as Kana said, but Bhishma is something which is very austere. Hence, from today, Shantanu said, you will be called Bhishma. So his father gave him that blessings that you will be called Bhishma. And then Bhishma didn't get married. Bhishma didn't get children. Shantanu and Satyavati, they got 2 kids, Vichitravirya and Chitranga has been. Thank you so much, Kana, for that. And just to summarize, what did we do today? We completed Kuru's family. And of course, if in case we like to, we can repeat it more back again. But so far, so good, I guess. But let me know if in case we like to do a bit more. But there are many more stories which we will do again and again. But so far, so good, I guess. We have seen there are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. There are 700 verses. We have seen the understanding of yoga. Even when we do what we call Ashtanga yoga, Ashtanga is 8 limbs. So the yoga we do, it's actually part of Ashtanga yoga, which is Hatha yoga, the physical exercises, or we could do breathing exercises. The idea is that we will go beyond our material body. We will become a bit more spiritual. Why? To be more blissful, to be more happy, irrespective of our external circumstances, which usually we gather together for our own happiness. First 6 chapters for Karma Yoga, then 7 to 12 Bhakti Yoga, 13 to 18 Jnana Yoga. So first 6 for action. And then after that, what we have is devotion. And then right at the end, we have Jnana, right? And we will see what are they more detail. And if you will move forward, we have seen how many verses each of those 4 characters have said, recited. Then we have seen the length, how big or small the chapters are. And then we started chapter 1, the first verse where Dhritarashtra asked, and then 2 to 11 where Duryodhan narrates to his great-grandfather Bhishma and Dronacharya. And Bhishma started, blew his conch shell, and then started. So verse 14 where Lord Krishna appears, but Lord Krishna will not say anything. Arjun will say a lot of things in chapter 1, and this is where we start. When we will move forward from verse 18 to 19, different people, they blew their conch shells, because obviously at the moment only great-grandfather, he has did it. Yeah, he had blew it. So we will see 15 to 19 when Lord Krishna will blow his conch shell, and that's called Panchjanya. And there is a story why. So like there is a story which we will discuss why Arjun became the charioteer, and even why Krishna became the charioteer of Arjun, and even why Krishna decided to be on Arjun's side. Why not? Because Krishna was also related to Duryodhan, so he would have also he actually did had a choice, and Duryodhan actually did go to Krishna, but why Krishna decided only to go to Arjun, we will see. And then why Krishna's conch shell was called Panchjanya. And then Arjun had a conch shell Devadatta, Yudhishthir had Ananta Vijaya, Bhima, Pondra, and then Nakula, Sughosha, and Sahadev, Mani, Pushpaka. And each of these, they mean something. They all are Sanskrit names. On the top, we will see Lord Krishna, Arjun, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev. So Krishna is the Lord, and all 5, they are the names of Pandavas, right? But at the bottom, they are the names of the Shankh, as we call in Hindi. They are the conch shells. So that's where we will leave today. And next week, we will start from verse 20. If you have Bhagavad Gita with you, please have a read through. So we have already done roughly first 20 verses. You can just go through the translation. If you have the time, you could go to the purports as well. I shared the website Ved Basa. So Ved Base is a website where the Bhagavad Gita is there. Please go along, otherwise think of it. Otherwise, come along next Sunday, 5 p.m. and we will discuss many more stories. And Jay, I've just noticed you came unmute. I thought you are not there, so I didn't leave any time for you. Are you there, Jay? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, Jay said yeah. So Jay, even though time is 6 now, and we always say finish on time, so my apologies. How about Jay that we do? All right. Okay, your mic is broken. Okay. So Jay does a great kirtan. So Jay, if next time your mic is working, Krishna willing, then we will have a bit of kirtan. And I might request Shivani to do a kirtan as well, because Shivani, Aryan, they all do kirtans. And it's always good to have a little bit of kirtan. Sometimes we do in the beginning, sometimes at the end, sometimes both sides. And Krishna Chaitanya is going to come. He loves kirtan as well. So thank you so much for everyone's presence today. Look forward to see you Sunday, 5 p.m. next time. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna, everyone. Look forward to see you next time. And please bring your friends along. It's always good to study together with friends, and which we always do, don't we? Shivani is here with me at the moment. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone.